Hello, and thank you for joining me here tonight in this special video interview for my Women in Horror Month segments. I'm pleased to be joined by Paris Tisdale.
Yes, hi. Nice to see you.
Hi.
Finally,
Yeah.
through video format.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me here tonight. I guess we might as well start at the very beginning. How did you get into the genre and what gave you your initial push into the industry?
Um, I've always loved horror since I was a child, but I have a friend by the name of Sala. You might kind of know of her through, mutual friends, but she kept trying to get me to do SFX stuff with her. And for some time, I was in school, so it really wasn't a good time, but I modeled for her for some of her creations. And then once I finished, she got a project that came up and was like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I said, "Sure." And then from there, it's kind of taken off in the local film world here in Little Arkansas. So that's pretty much how I got started, was through her, really.
Nice. And I mean, that was you're skipping a little ahead, so I'll just skip right to that. But
Oh
you
yeah.
guys started your company together, Cryptic Sisters.
Yes.
How did that like officially come together? And what do you guys do together?
I think that just kind of like everything else fell into place because we were getting asked to do so much. We were like, why don't we make this a thing? And so we each, because we're pretty small, we just brought on someone else. Her name is Trinity, but we're still very small. So we do everything that we can. It's just us that works on everything. So, I mean, whatever people throw our way, we're like, sure, let's do this. Whether we're sculpting, molding, building costumes, or suits, hair laying, punching, all of it, the whole nine, prosthetics, everything.
Okay. So, what is a typical day for you on set? Like, what is your typical like 9 to 5 sort of a if that could be applied to it, like a
Well,
typical
we're lucky if it's 9 to 5. That's for
yeah. But
yeah. When
like
you're
a
on set,
typical like day-to-day thing.
So on set, I mean, usually because it's, like we're doing a lot of independent films, so everyone has their other jobs, that they have to do. So a lot of times it's like we're cramming in a lot of work in a very short amount of time. So our days are very long on set, and you kind of never know what's gonna happen. You can plan for things, and then if whether you have time or not, you might have to rush through on some things, or cut things, or there's you just have to be um I guess not super type A. You have to be the go with the flow type. I'm losing my train of thought here, but yeah. That's kind of what it's like, but it's always a great time. I feel like I wouldn't really trade it for anything. It's so much fun getting to create, and then later on seeing your creations come to life and everyone's contributions, come together on screen. That's the coolest part. And then of course the relationships that you form. But yeah, I mean, you just have to be ready for anything because suddenly they might need, someone to stand in on something, and then suddenly you're acting. It kind of works that way. But
Mm. All right.
yeah.
So if you could say that, you're in your elements and this is like the thing I love doing and I prefer would to do this, what would you say that is on a set?
Um, I definitely love the SFX part of it. I actually, before all of this and life took its turns and everything, I had always wanted to act, and that's what I started out in school, as theater, and then changed my path. But I think I am slowly kind of coming back to that. So acting is definitely has always been a passion as well, along with the makeup, because just creating is really fun for me. And I feel like film is like the area to be in because I have a lot of hobbies and interests. And this is the one place where all of those things come together and make sense. Because otherwise, it's just like, what is this girl doing? She doesn't like, what's next, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So, what has been your most memorable experience that you've had through working together?
With Sala or just in.
I mean, anything like, the one memory that you've had that you was like, wow, this is something I never thought I'd ever accomplish.
Uh, well, I would say a lot of um, the builds that we've done in such a short amount of time, I definitely was like, wow, didn't know if this is gonna work or not, but thank God. I would say, okay, so the very first one was we did on the set of Voorhees Night of the Beast. I don't know if you've seen it, but the whole thing is like Jason fights Bigfoot. So we needed Bigfoot costume, and there's this huge Bigfoot suit that was provided, but it was just like this. So the guy that played Bigfoot is a massive dude. And despite that, it's still just like he swam in that thing. So I had to build a muscle suit, which I'd never done, and sculpt out of foam. And I don't know how many times I ripped that thing apart and put it back together and then tried it out. And I wasn't sure if it was going to work. He was overseas and we couldn't get his measurements. Luckily, my husband has a cousin that's the same height as him, but not nearly as like muscular as this guy. So I was like, I'm just playing this fair. Hopefully this is gonna work. And it did. It worked for the set, and that was very memorable for me just because it was like I was burning the midnight oil and it was a ton of work, ton of work. But it
Yeah.
paid off. It paid off so, so much. Like,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
that
So,
was one of the ones I was gonna ask because I was gonna say like constructing that must have been a challenge. So
yeah, very
yeah.
much so. Very much
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
So it's like, were you ever a fan of Jason? I mean, I guess I'll just go into that one. Were like you a fan of Jason or before and like getting to work with him? Was that like any kind of a childhood dream come true or
With
like,
Jason Pitts,
yeah, having to work with
I,
Jason?
so with Jason, I met him through Sala. He contacted her. And so I hadn't met him prior to that. But since he's become a really good friend in like the film world, and I think all of us formed a lot of friendships on that set. Like I've worked with several of the Voorhees actors and crew on other projects. So it's definitely been just it's awesome to have worked with Jason because he definitely, along with Sala, gave me this opportunity to get into horror and film, and now it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I mean, this one may be a little bit topical, but hopefully it'll still apply if you see this in the future. But I mean, you recently just got back from a special effects convention. So, what have you taken from that, and what have been some of your memories of attending that?
Oh yeah. So I think you're referring to the workshop with Tim Gore, right?
That was what it
That I
was.
think.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Yeah.
I wrote it down, but I forgot to write down who the owner was, and I was like, oh, maybe she'll remember. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah, of course.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
I,
very fresh in my mind. That was really, really cool because Tim Gore is an incredible SFX artist and painter in the industry. And he was offering a workshop just down the street, not really down the street, it was a couple of hours, but like that's really rare to have that, like, just someone of that, I don't know, caliber so close to us. So, um, that was a no-brainer to take a workshop with him. And he was such a cool and down-to-earth guy. And it definitely taught me a few things that I didn't know or try prior. So that was really cool. And then I came away with this awesome piece of work, you know. So that was really neat. And then to top it all off, he gave me his own personal airbrush, which was super cool. So that I'm going to be keeping for the rest of my life and
Hmm,
cherishing it.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, since you've sort of developed a following on the indie community through conventions and appearances and stuff like that, what have you taken away from that experience as a way to spread your company?
um, let's see. I don't know so much as I guess the biggest takeaway would just be, you know, to definitely get to know as many people as you can and make friends, you know. Don't be shy, go out there and make friends because you never know. I feel like that's really how a lot of us end up getting more work or finding out about things if someone else is on a project and they're like, I know this person that does this, and I know this person that's done this. I know I've definitely reached out to some of them when I've, you know, heard of things that have come up. I'm like, these are the people that I know to go to. So I would suggest that to anyone trying to get into it. You know, networking is a big deal. And people say networking, but I like to say make friends because, you know, then you have lasting relationships and yeah, that's what my takeaway is.
All right, so what do you have in store for the future? Like any upcoming projects, any upcoming shoots, or anything like that that you're interested and excited to work on?
Yes, so there's a couple that still haven't come out that I worked on. There's let's see here, I'm trying to think. Rotten by Forrest Pierce. Then there's Batman Heart of Ice by Will Reed. We just finished up Voorhees After the Beast not too long ago with Jason Pitts. He did that one. My husband and I just started a podcast actually called We'll Be Right Back, and that's super fresh. So that I'm really, really excited about. And then Arlo Mitchell, I just worked with on a movie called Unceasing. And I know he's coming out with one I'll be working on. And Charlie Brady has one coming out called Whispers that's he's working on getting out there. We haven't started on. And then I know there's a couple with Sala that are hush hush, but yeah, there are a lot that I'm hoping that I didn't leave anyone out. I think that's everyone. Yeah. That we have some things coming out in store for everybody. But yes, I'm very excited. And those are some things to look out for.
All right, and where can we find anything else, find out about the company and like your plugs online and all those kind of social media handles and stuff like that?
Absolutely. So on Instagram and Facebook, it's Cryptic Sisters FX. And then that's just FX. And then Be Right Back Pod is the podcast my husband and I are doing. That's on Instagram, Be Right Back Pod. And then on Facebook, We'll Be Right Back. And right now you can find it on Spotify. And I think that's about it. Instagram and Facebook. That's what we seem to use. Yeah.
All right, so we'll end this on one of my favorite questions, and I really look forward to hearing what they have to say about this. But being that you're a woman in the industry, and this is Women in Horror Month, what advice do you have for others that you hope to follow in your footsteps, and like life advice or just career advice that you have that you would want to pass on to them?
I would say to stick with it because, like I mentioned before, I started out with acting and my life took a different path, but I came back to it. And I would say don't get discouraged because you just never know what doors are going to open, but definitely stick with it. Now, social media, I feel like makes things so much easier to network with people. You can go start local, like I did. Go on Facebook, there's probably several filmmaking groups where they're looking for actors or someone to help out with, lighting, boom mic, whatever. And also, I mean, if you're creative, try to learn as much as you can. YouTube has great, great videos out there. There's so much now where you can learn in your home and just try to learn as much as you can because I mean, you never know what's going to be needed and that's just more opportunities for you to get your foot in the door. The more you can do, you know? But yeah, don't give up.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for this. It's a pleasure, and I'm really glad we got to do this.
Me too. It was
Yeah,
great meeting you. Thank you so
yeah,
much for
have
having
some.
me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for coming on board. I will have all of her links down below for you to check out. But until next time, we will see you then. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.